Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up podcast. Today, we're going to touch base on the divisional round matchups. We're going to talk about the NFC and AFC Conference Championship games to determine who's going to the Super Bowl. We got some coaching
Hey,
news.
can you say that? Can we say that word? I think that word is
to the big game.
Forbidden. To the big game. To the big game.
To the big game.
To the super game.
the super duper game. We got some coaching news, and we'll also touch base on some free agency stuff where some big names where we kind of want them to go for fantasy purposes. So we're not going to touch base on defensive guys, offensive linemen, stuff like that. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up podcast. How you doing today, Nick, on this very cold
Freezing
Tuesday evening?
I got to work today and the real feel was -2, dude. I'm like, this should be illegal. There has to be a way to regulate the temperatures at this point in 2026. Like, what are we doing? Like, there's no reason it's -2 degrees outside. We're not doing it anymore. We moved past that. We're a better civilization than that.
Yeah, usually in the morning, I preheat my car for like 10 to 15 minutes. Today, I preheat it for a good like 25, 30 minutes.
Hey, I get it, dude.
It was the first thing I did when I woke up. I got out. I started my car.
Reasonable. So, I 100% get it.
It was way too cold out this morning. All right, some coaching news before we jump into the games. We've had some.
We got him. We officially got him.
Yeah, we got some hirings. We also had another firing since we last recorded.
We did,
and that is the Buffalo Bills fired Sean McDermott. So huge opening there in the coaching market. A huge team like the Buffalo Bills. You said it, New York Giants. They got your guy.
Let's go, baby.
John Harbaugh.
Let's
officially locked in as the New York Giants head coach. It was, I think, a 5-year deal for him. So that's good for New York. It gets them an established name. This feels like a Tom Coughlin situation where they bring this authoritative figure who can just oversee and let his coaches coach. So it looks like we'll probably get Todd Monken. He'll probably come over as well, which I think will be great for Jackson Dart. And then we'll see where the defensive coaching staff goes up. But I like the Giants' defense. So, yeah, I think that's a great hire for you guys. And John Harbaugh, I know you're excited. He was the top of your list.
Yeah, I think we got the best coach on the market, sans maybe Mike Tomlin. But to get Tomlin, he resigned. You'd have to trade for him. He's not a technical free agent. So, in my eyes, we got the best coach. And we did the rankings of, like, openings last week. And I get the Bills weren't on there, but the Giants were too, dude, and I had them behind the Ravens. You had the Giants 1. Like, I really think we can push for a playoff spot just with our roster. This offseason, we have to hit in the draft. We have a very early pick, but I don't know, dude. I think there's a chance that the Giants are pushing a wild card spot next year with Dart in the second season, Scadaboo coming back, a great defense, and then John Harbaugh, dude. Like, the Ravens always push for a playoff spot. I get this year was a little bit different, but they were always good, dude.
They still almost made the playoffs. It came down to that missed field goal.
Exactly. Like, they came down to like the last kick, and I still do think we'd be sitting here talking about John Harbaugh if they still would have made that kick. I think it would have been like a Sean McDermott situation that. Yeah, I think him and Tomlin were both gonna get. This was their last season with those respective teams, so
yeah, sans a legitimate run from either one of them in the playoffs. I don't think either of their jobs was safe. The Atlanta Falcons, they hired Kevin Stefanski. I love that move. I thought he was the second best coach available.
I agree.
Outside of Harbaugh. Got some familiarity with Kirk Cousins, so I don't think Cousins is going to go. I think he will be there next year. I honestly think Penix probably starts the year on PUP. We see Cousins here with Stefanski, familiarity with the offense. So I think that's a great move for Atlanta. They get themselves a 2-time Coach of the Year winner and an established name here for an offense that has some great building blocks. So I'm excited to see what Stefanski does there. And maybe he brings Jim Schwartz over from Cleveland. It doesn't seem likely. I know Cleveland said they want him to stay no matter who the head coach is named. And he got a second interview for head coach, so he might even just be the Browns head coach next year. But if he is available, I imagine he pops over with Stefanski, which would be another great addition for Atlanta's young budding defense.
Yeah, for sure. Like, shout out Atlanta going out there and actually making a really good call on their coach, because I agree. Right after Harbaugh, it was Kevin Stefanski is my next top target as a Giants fan. So hopefully he can get Atlanta rolling. And like you said, they have good pieces. I also expect Penix to start on the pup. So Kirk Cousins is probably going to be their quarterback for the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And he performed. He
Miami,
performed really well under Kevin Stefanski. Like he had a really good season.
Yeah, his 2 years with Stefanski in Minnesota were great. Miami Dolphins hired Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. You usually see the trend. You have an offensive coach, he gets fired. You usually hire a defensive coach. Hafley, he was a head coach at Boston College, so there is head coach experience there, just not in the NFL. Packers defense was really good last year, and then Mike Parsons got hurt, and it kind of tailed off there. So
collapsed.
This will be interesting. It doesn't excite me. Like his face kind of weirds me out. His face always looks real nervous. So. We'll see where it goes here for Miami, and then Tennessee this morning looks like they're bringing in Robert Saleh, 49ers defensive coordinator, New York Jets former head coach. It looks like he's going to be the Titans head coach. We're big Saleh guys, so I'm excited for this to Tennessee. I'm looking forward to see what kind of offensive staff he builds to develop Cam Ward in this offense.
Yeah, I really hope they bring in a really good and already developed offensive coordinator. I really don't want to see them taking like high swings with OC, bringing in like a quarterback coach or someone. Bring in someone that has an established track record already, because that's what's going to benefit Cam Ward going forward. But I do love the hire. I loved Saleh. He was on he was on my short list of like 5-6 coaches I would be okay with the Giants hiring. I did not think he was the problem with the Jets, and I will stand by that. Like he's getting clowned on the internet, like, oh, what did Tennessee think?
Jets are still bad.
Exactly. They're in the exact same situation, if not worse, because they do not have Robert Saleh now. So I do like the hirings a lot so far.
Yeah, and we'll see the other positions still opening up there. You ready to talk about these divisional round games real quick?
Hell yeah, dude. Another good weekend of football.
Kind of. Yeah, there was one game that was a real not watchable. We'll start there. 49ers. They got whooped up on Saturday night by the Seahawks.
It was worse than that, dude. It was way worse than that. You know how we said we don't think Sam Darnold had to play for that, or we don't think Drew Lock could have get it done? No, I take that statement back. If Drew Lock played, they still won 28-6. It wouldn't have been.
Yeah, and it started hot. Seattle, they have that ultimate home field advantage, the 12th man playing there in Seattle. Rashid Shaheed kickoff to start the game, and it was just downhill for San Francisco. I saw a tweet. It was like Brock Purdy every snap looks like he's running away like 28 years later. The Seahawks,
100%.
That defense was obliterating that offensive line for the Niners. So Seattle now poising themselves here potentially for a Super Bowl matchup here. That defense is incredible. That it makes Sam Darnold's life much easier. They did lose Zach Charbonnet, so he's done for the playoffs. But Ken Walker looked incredible, and
for sure.
I've been on it all year. Like, just give Ken Walker the rock, let him run this offense. And I mean, the Niners were beat up. It was bound to run out for them, and it did against their division rival.
Well, yeah, dude. Once Kittle went down, McCaffrey really had no life for him left to suck, and he even got questioned. He got banged up a little bit in this game.
He tried to kill Jake Tongas.
Hey, if it had to happen, it had to happen. When you're down that much, you got to start making live sacrifices on the field, dude. As much as I love Cooper Kupp as like a football player, as like a person, I love that dude. I'll never say anything bad about him. But the Seahawks have to get Rashid Shaheed more involved in the passing game. Like, look how dynamic he is in the return game. He is an absolute game changer anytime he touches the ball. It's very similar to Malachi Toney with Miami Hurricanes. Just get this guy the ball, design screens, design slants, get him open in the middle of the field. Because once he has the ball, he's gone. He's gone. He's so much faster than everyone else on the field right now.
Thursday night game against the Rams where they came back, Shaheed had the big part in the punt return. Yeah, and then they did a jet sweep reverse to him, and it completely opened up this offense. Yeah, and I imagine Shaheed could be. He's going to be the difference maker for this team in the championship game. Like, he's going to be the deciding factor. Like, one big play, he can change the whole dynamic of a football game here for Seattle.
100%. And like, teams that have players like that, they're the ones that you have to be really scared of. Like, any given play, Shaheed can take the ball and he's gone. And like, Ken Walker's kind of sneaky like that. Like, he's not as dynamic or twitchy, but he is another guy that can, like, a 70-yard run. Oh, and then 2 plays later, he's got another 50-yard run. Like, he can have those big chunk runs, but he's more of a liability in my eyes. Like, I really think Shaheed needs to be really involved. Like, that's my one takeaway from Seattle. Like, they're amazing, obviously, but, like, if I had one flaw, you got to get Shaheed more involved. Cooper Kupp's fine, but he's not that dynamic, dude. Like, it's the Super Bowl now almost. We're right around the corner.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp will be there when you need just like one, like a first down. He can get it.
Yeah, don't change how you use Cooper Kupp. Like the 5 for 60 is perfect. That's how Cooper Kupp's stat line should work. But Shaheed should have more than 2 targets, dude. Like, that's crazy. You got to get that guy more involved. He had 0 catches.
Yeah. We'll stay in the NFC. Sunday night, incredible game. Rams-Bears. The Rams did win in overtime, 20-17. The Bears, despite the loss, incredible season. This was much better than we anticipate here. Ben Johnson has did a phenomenal job with the Bears, and they had all these crazy comeback wins. So it does worry me going into next year because that's tough to sustain. We saw that with Minnesota a few years ago. They had all these comeback wins, and then they came back to earth the next year and missed the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see where the Bears go from here. But Caleb Williams, that 4th down touchdown throw to Cole Kmet, one of the best plays of the year. So kudos to the Bears and the Rams. They just continue to get it done. It is just a well-engined football team, and I've been praising Seattle and LA as the 2 best teams in the league, and I wanted a rematch here in the playoffs, and we're getting it in the NFC Championship game.
I am low-key really excited we're getting this rematch because, like, I want to give Seattle their flowers, but there's still a small part of me that's like, I hope the fucking Rams kill them, dude. Oh, man, I just love Matt Stafford, dude. It's a Matt Stafford and Sean McVay thing. Like, those 2 guys together, instant Super Bowl contenders regardless. Like, Matt Stafford, at the end of the day, is, in my eyes, one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen play the football. Like, he's so good, dude.
Yeah. The Stafford-McVay pairing is a notch above the rest. AFC, Saturday. The controversial game, Buffalo and Denver. The Broncos did win 33-30 in overtime. Denver wins, but then it comes out that
it's a bad day for both teams.
Bo Nix is now out for the year. He fractured his ankle, has to get surgery. He did it on like one of the last plays of the game. So now Denver's going into the AFC Championship game with Jared Stidham as their starting quarterback. It'll be like his 5th career start. So the Broncos defense, though, it's legit. They did their part, but tough loss for Buffalo.
My problem with like Denver's defense being legit, so is New England's. Like, New England's defense, it's not as good as the Broncos, but it's right there, dude. Their defense is so good. Oh man, I wish Bo Nix was going to be out there, dude. Like, it sucks that he's not going to be playing. But
this will be let's see what Sean Payton. See what kind of offensive mastermind he is here. See if he can get Jared Stidham.
I do think it's going to be closer than people think it's going to be.
I agree. And we'll get to that game. Controversial calls in this game. There was the interception by McMillan that may or may not have been an interception. It may or may not have been a catch by Brandon Cooks, depending on how you look at it. There was the ticky-tacky pass interference call on, I believe it was Teron Johnson, number 7, where that was about as much pass interference as one they didn't call against Denver in Buffalo in the red zone. There was the Tre'Davious White one, which was clear-cut pass interference, and
which
then
was pass interference,
lost his head 100%. And blew a gasket there. But the refs really, like, it was a fine officiated game until like the last stretch of it, and it just got out of hand, and it really overshadowed what was a great game from Denver and Buffalo as a whole. But Josh Allen, 4 turnovers, like it does come back to that. I don't know. I hope it makes Buffalo potentially winning the Super Bowl one day that much sweeter, that they've had to go through all these trials and tribulations. And this was a big part of Sean McDermott getting fired. Yeah, it is a tough loss for the Bills. And then losing Bo Nix kind of takes that juice away from Denver. Like they become a little like, I don't want to watch Jared Stidham in the Super Bowl. No disrespect to Jared Stidham, but that doesn't rev my engine, brother.
No, because like even if he comes out and produces a half-ass versus New England and their defense is good enough to get the job done in like a an ugly like 17-14 kind of game.
Yeah, if
They're
Denver
going to
has
play
to play
the Rams
Seattle
and
or
then
LA,
Seattle. Seattle's going
done.
to rock Jarrett Stidham, dude. It would be like the Niners game. The Super Bowl would be 41-6.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. And then the Patriots, they beat the Texans 28-16. Drake May did have 4 fumbles. He threw an interception, 3 touchdowns, but CJ Stroud had 5 interceptions and 4 fumbles. He looked horrible.
Bad.
And
he's looked bad though.
Yeah,
the 2 playoff games. I think he's had like 7 or 8 turnovers, dude. Like in those games,
Houston's
it's
got
a
some
rough
decisions.
stretch.
Like, they're obviously going to pick up his 5th-year option. You can't.
You're gonna run him back for sure.
Is there a few like there? I think there's I think it leans more towards him not being a Texan in the long haul than it is him getting an extension in Houston for the future. But they didn't have
want to
Nico
give him the
Collins,
benefit of the doubt.
so
Exactly. Like Nico wasn't out there, and as much as we rag on Dalton Schultz, they lost Dalton Schultz in this game. He wasn't out there, so like, who was he throwing the ball to? A bunch of rookies.
Christian Kirk.
Like, exactly. At the end of the day, it was Christian Kirk, and like Woody Marks is a rookie. Jalen Knowles a rookie. Jaden Higgins a rookie. Like,
yeah. And Kate Stover,
you're asking too much
too. After he replaced Dalton Schultz,
you're asking too much from CJ Stroud when you're not providing him weapons that are outside of Nico Collins, and 2, a sustainable offensive line. You traded your franchise left tackle in the offseason and did not replace them. And you just expect CJ Stroud to pick up where he left off his rookie year?
Mm-hmm.
This franchise is dropping the ball with CJ Stroud. Like, they need to get him help. I get your defense is elite.
Yeah,
but if you would give this guy another weapon or 2, I do think they would have won this game.
Yeah, I think the receivers will grow. Obviously, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, both rookies.
100%.
I think they're going to continue, but they should have had a contingent plan in place that wasn't Christian Kirk. I don't think they need to be chasing a weapon in the offseason. I think, like I said, Higgins and Noel, they're going to grow as players, and the Texans defense.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a tight end out there that I would like Houston to look that way.
Okay. And then the Texans defense, they did their part to potentially win this game. That defense, incredible. They really held Drake May in check. They held this New England offense in check. Will Anderson made Will Campbell look
like a college
Will Campbell
athlete
shouldn't be
again.
playing left tackle. That guy, if your only exposure to Will Campbell was the game against Will Anderson, you're like, that guy shouldn't be an offensive tackle. Why is he not playing inside? Because Will Anderson was putting him in a carousel. And I said that last week that Will Anderson's a future defensive player of the year. And Texans defense, it is a shame we won't get to see them going forward, because I would have loved to see a potential matchup with the Texans defense and the Seahawks defense. But the Texans offense, incredibly flawed, and it does start with the offensive line and injuries.
Yeah, it all starts from the front 7 for Houston. Like, their defensive line can get the job, their offensive line cannot. So, like, what are we doing here for CJ Stroud? His rookie year, he didn't have this much responsibility. Like, you're asking too much of him. If you cut that back, he is going to be able to produce the way he did before. And I do think they need to add a weapon in the offseason. Not a receiver, but maybe a tight end, maybe even a running back, because Nick Chubb's not going to be there next year. And and who knows with Joe Mixon? Exactly. No one knows with Joe Mixon. And no offense to Woody Marks, we've seen the exact same thing with Damian Priest his rookie year in Houston. And that guy's he hasn't panned out. Like, late round running backs that always produce their rookie year aren't guaranteed to be like consistent bell cow backs. There's a chance that Woody Marks at the end of the day is just a better number 2 running back come future seasons. So I think there is room for this offense to improve.
So we'll see. So our matchups, as we'll go over at the end of the show: New England and Denver, Seattle and LA. It should be a good slate on Sunday. All right, let's talk a little bit of fantasy stuff here as we talk some bigger name free agency players and where we kind of want them to go for fantasy purposes and the betterment of their career. We'll start with quarterback. There's 3 really big name quarterback free agents. I think they're pretty easy to kind of just run through. It's Daniel Jones, it's Aaron Rodgers, and it's Malik Willis. I think for Daniel Jones, it's clear cut stay in Indianapolis, and I think they will either franchise him or sign him to a short 1 to 2 year deal as he recovers from that Achilles injury. But he was a great fit with Shane Steichen, and we really saw it when Daniel Jones went down. or even when he was just banged up. But that's kind of when the downhill season for Indianapolis started. And you agree, Daniel Jones, best for him?
I definitely agree. And I do think the Colts are going to be willing to pay more than another team because they already seen what it's like in the system to where every other team is a question mark besides the Giants. They have never seen Danny Jones in their system. The Colts have seen it, and it was really good.
Yeah, it was working.
Those 8 or 9 weeks, they were one of the best teams in football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think coming off the injury, I think the Colts are going to be willing to overpay more than any other team because they know what they're getting.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, I know last week you lean towards him coming back. I do think he retires, but if he does play again, I think it's going to be with the Minnesota Vikings.
Hell yeah, dude. That would
No,
be
not hell yeah.
so funny, dude. That'd be so fucking funny, dude.
I hate it.
I don't have a team in mind for Rodgers. I'm not gonna lie. Like I just think he's going to play because of his ego, and the last game was abysmal. I don't know what team would fit for this guy's system. Maybe the Raiders if they want to bring in another veteran quarterback outside of Geno. Yeah, for sure. I
hate it because last year I was so adamant of him not being there. If Aaron Rodgers was the Vikings quarterback last year, they're in the playoffs.
You mean like this season that's still going on? Season. I would agree to that statement. If he was able to get the Steelers to the playoffs.
Yeah. They were 9-8 with a combo of J.J. McCarthy, Max Brosmer, and Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
If Aaron Rodgers was this quarterback all year, they're in the playoffs in one of these last wild card spots over Green Bay.
Yeah, you guys had 9 wins. I think if you had Rodgers, you would be a 10 or 11 win team. I think he's a 2-win swing.
Yeah. And then Malik Willis, I think with Jeff Hafley going to Miami, he was Packers defensive coordinator. I imagine he brings one of the under coaches, a quarterback coach, wide receiver coach, somebody from the Green Bay staff with him to run the offense. I think Malik Willis going to Miami, it seems like a no-brainer. He's an upgrade over Tua at this point, and I think he is going to be a starting quarterback next year, and I think Miami's a perfect fit with Hafley moving over.
I think it's going to be someone from that division, being the Jets or the Dolphins, and they're going to overpay disgustingly. I don't think
he's going to get
Willis is a starting quarterback
a year.
I think he's going to get a 3-year, $100 million contract this offseason, and that is insane to me.
I'm excited for it because I liked Malik Willis coming out.
I loved him coming out of college. I just don't
he got
think
to sit. It was the right system. I think in the right situation, he is a fine stopgap 2 to 3 year quarterback, and I think that's what Miami needs right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Tight ends. You brought up. I assume it's going to be Kyle Pitts. He's the top name of the tight end. I assume he is the one you think should go to Houston.
Kyle Pitts would be my top choice, but I would pick him, Isaiah Likely, David Njoku. Like, I think Houston needs a big athletic tight end. That's someone they can use very similar to Nico Collins if Nico goes down. Because Nico Collins has had a history of injuries his whole career. And one of these tight ends, they're built identically to Nico Collins, to where Jaden Higgins is a little bit lighter. Jalen Noel is a complete opposite wide receiver as Nico Collins.
Yeah.
One of these tight ends can be that big body, stretch the field. Because, like, Pitts can stretch the field. Likely can stretch the field. Njoku, these guys are all super athletic tight ends. I think one of them would greatly benefit Houston's offense going forward next season.
Yeah, that's a good shout out. I actually didn't put Houston down for any of them. For Kyle Pitts, like I think staying in Atlanta is the best option because we've seen.
I disagree so much.
But with Kevin Stefanski, we've seen how productive the tight end is with him.
I guess Stefanski's there now. I'm looking at it like he just needs to get out of Atlanta, dude.
But I don't think Atlanta's going to be able to afford him. I think Atlanta's going to go a cheap route. I think Atlanta brings in David Njoku, which the familiarity that's there with,
which would make sense.
Stefanski. Yeah. I think Denver's my favorite landing spot for Kyle Pitts. It actually gives them this Joker role player that Sean Payton wants. Evan Ingram didn't work out there, and it gives them a true option outside of Cortland Sutton in the passing game. Like Mims and Franklin and Pat Bryant, like they were fine, but they all just kind of canceled each other out this year. I think Kyle Pitts with Sean Payton, Jimmy Graham, we saw what he did there. I think that is exciting. And you brought up Isaiah Likely. I had him with Carolina. I think Carolina needs like a true field stretching tight end. Like I like JT Sanders, but he's never healthy. He's always hurt. And I think likely
Mm-hmm.
getting the opportunity to be the guy, I think that's the perfect number 2, number 3 option behind Teterow and McMillan. And he kind of balances out, goes back and forth with like Jalen Coker as the next guy up in the passing game. But getting an option like an Isaiah Likely for Bryce Young, I think will go a long way for Carolina.
Yeah, for sure. I think Carolina's offense really needs that. I get Tet's there, but they need someone else to eat the coverage. Like Tet can't be doing this by himself. And I get they have like a good group number. Like I think they have number 3 receivers under Tet. I don't think they have a good number 2 yet. And I think one of those tight ends could easily be that option.
Yeah.
If Travis Kelce ends up retiring, I would love for one of these guys to be one of the athletic ones, being like Kyle Pitts, Likely, Njoku. One of those guys to end up in Kansas City, because Patrick Mahomes, the way he uses his tight end with those athletic guys, it would be very similar to Travis Kelce.
Dallas Goedert was the other name I'd written down, but like I can't imagine he's productive outside of Philadelphia.
Stay in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Wide receivers, George Pickens, he's the top name. I don't think he gets out of Dallas.
Dallas is paying that guy.
Alec Pierce, I've brought it up before. Buffalo. They need a actual deep threat wide receiver. I think he is the perfect fit here, and I think for fantasy purposes, you're looking at a wide receiver too, a top 24 guy. If Alec Pierce ends up in Buffalo, I think that is a match made in heaven.
I would really like that. Man, I want to say like the Giants, dude. Like the Giants are going to be looking for a number 2. Wandale's a free agent. Darius Slayton isn't
one of the guys
the answer.
I have with you guys.
I would make sense. Like, I think the Giants are going to be looking for a wide receiver this free agent. And I do think they end up drafting one as well later, like 3rd, 4th round, not first 2 rounds, but like 3rd, later midday pick. But I think Alec Pierce needs to get into an offense that has a number 1 receiver. I don't think he's a number 1. And I think him next to like a Malik Nair, like him next to Jalen Waddle down in Miami. Those guys would complement each other phenomenally. Waddle is short, quick, intermediate routes, and can also take a top off of defense. And Alec Pierce can get hit deep ball every time.
He'd be the perfect complement to Garrett Wilson.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Juwan Jennings was actually the wide receiver I had going to New York. I thought he would pair well with Malik Neighbors. Speaking of the Jets, I had them with Wan'Dale Robinson. I think that's a good fit. He kind of is a good shift away from Garrett Wilson and gives whoever their quarterback is a underneath option. There, Mike Evans, I don't think he leaves Tampa at all.
He's not leaving Tampa.
And then Debo Samuel will be the next one. Like the receiving group for free agents, not great. For Debo, I just have wherever Mike McDaniel ends up. I think McDaniel and Debo, they love each other. I think wherever McDaniel goes, I think that team should look at Debo as an option.
I agree. I would like to see Debo with Sean Payton. I think he would be able to use him phenomenally. But Denver's wide receiving crew they're not like deep, but it's a crowded room of just like guys after Cortland Sutton that are all in the same territory with Mims, Franklin, Bryant. So I don't know how much room they would have for Debo next season, but I would love him with a coach like that, dude. Like a guy that knows how to use wildcard guys, because we've seen it with Taysom Hill for years.
Yeah, no, I like that. We're rounding this out with running backs. There's a lot of names. Running back free agent class is really good, which makes sense because the running back draft class happens to not be so good. So I would expect a lot of these guys do get paid. Breece Hall
there's going to be money
is the top name. I have Tennessee written down. I don't think there's any chance he's with the Jets. I think Tony Pollard's fine. Like, I love Tony Pollard, but he's not a guy who could be just like the true blue running back going forward. I think Breece Hall here really opens things up for Cam Ward, and he's an upgrade. He could do what Tony Pollard does and what Tyjae Spear does, and you get it in one player. I think Breece Hall would be a great fit in Tennessee, especially with Robert Saleh. I imagine he brings over someone who runs a similar system to San Francisco does, and we see how valuable Christian McCaffrey is for that offense. Breece Hall can do that sort of skill set. So I think he'd be a great fit for Tennessee for the future.
Yeah, no, I really like that fit a lot. I think this is the year where Dallas isn't going to bring Javonte back, and they're going to shell out on him back, and I think it's going to be Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall ends up in Dallas.
Okay.
I think they finally bite the bullet, and Javonte produced, but Javonte was not consistent enough at the end of the year. Like, Dak Prescott didn't have the consistent run game that Like, look what when he had Tony Pollard the year before, like it was a lot better. Like it was a lot cleaner. Not Tony Pollard. Rico.
Rico.
They had Rico
Yeah.
last year with 1,000 yards, and then the years before that was Tony Pollard, who had 1,000-yard seasons.
Mhm.
And I guess Javonte had a really good season, but if you give Breece Hall that offense with Dak Prescott, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, even Jake Ferguson, like there's too many options when you add Breece Hall to that. And he's one of those guys that can touch the ball and he's gone, dude. He's so explosive. That's what Dallas is missing.
I like that. I actually had with Javonte. I just had staying with Dallas. I think
that will be the option if they don't
yeah.
send money a running back's way for sure.
Yeah.
I think Javonte
Kenneth
either
Walker,
ends up there.
He's going to be out there.
Minnesota.
Minnesota is who I wrote down because I imagine we're going to move
sure.
on from Aaron Jones, and I think he's a perfect fit for that offense. Like I'd prefer to stay in Seattle because I didn't see what Charbonnet's injury is. I just know he's out for the rest of the playoffs. But him in Seattle is a perfect fit, but Kubiak might be going. He probably gets a head coaching job potentially. So if it's not Seattle, I think Minnesota is the perfect fit for Ken Walker.
I also think Ken Walker with I'm going to switch your Breece Hall one. I think him in Tennessee with Cam Ward.
Okay.
I think that
I like that
because
too.
Ken Walker is very similar to Breece Hall, where he can catch a ton of passes if he needs to. He's very explosive. Breece Hall is a little bit more consistent runner.
Yeah.
But I think if you would pair Ken Walker with Tajay Spears, I think that's a little good. Like they're both shifty, they're both quick, and they both can,
But yeah, we're both in the same boat that Tennessee needs to upgrade their running
Tennessee's
back.
Getting a running back.
Love Tony Pollard,
for sure.
but I don't think he's going to be there next year. Travis Etienne, he should stay in Jacksonville. I don't think anyone is going to utilize
stay in
him.
Jacksonville so much.
I don't think anyone is going to utilize him to his best like Liam Cohen has done. I think if he leaves Jacksonville, if you have him in Dynasty, I'd be moving him. I don't think he is as valuable outside of Jacksonville as he would be still with the Jags.
I agree. And I also look back to college. He's been playing with Trevor Lawrence for his whole college career and now his whole NFL career. Like I just think keeping those two guys together with an actual offensive fundamental coach at this point, that's huge for both those guys' development.
Yeah. Rico Dowdle,
some place where he can get the fucking ball, dude.
Houston. They move on from Joe Mixon.
Anywhere where he can get the ball.
He's a better version of Nick Chubb at this point, and Woody Marks can now fall to the secondary. Woody Marks left games 27 times with injuries. He can't be your bell cow back. Rico Dowdle can. I think him with the Houston Texans takes a load off C.J. Stroud. I think that's great for him. J.K. Dobbins.
The last time Rico was on the field. The last time Rico was on the field.
And it's going to be J.K. Dobbins. Like that style arc. Like they want a bigger back.
Gross. Yeah, gross. But no, Rico literally had like 3 or 4 carries his last game on the field with Carolina.
Yeah, they moved back to Chuba.
And he came out and he's like, I don't want to do that. I need to go to a team that will give me and trust me with the ball. So I don't know where he's going to go, but where he ends up, he's going to be the bell cow back. Like Rico wants to be a starting running back in the NFL, and I truly think he deserves another chance. Like his season in Dallas,
I think he'll get it.
Whether it be he did Houston, this year in Carolina
Kansas City, the Jets, they're going to lose Breece Hall. That just opens up things there. I think we will be seeing Rico Dowdle as a starting running back, like as the head of the backfield. I don't think he gets a secondary role going here. Then
I don't think he would take a secondary role, to be honest. I think he wants to start.
Kenny Gainwell staying in Pittsburgh or wherever Arthur Smith ends up, I think that's best for him. He was really good for fantasy next year. Then Tyler Algier, this one's my favorite. I put the Commanders. I think Tyler Algier is just a better version of Chris Rodriguez, and like we like Bill, but I don't think Bill's that guy. I think Bill's better in a secondary role. I think Tyler Algier is worthy of being a team's lead back, and I think Washington is a great scenario for him to do that because he won't have to be the 100% carries because Jacory Krosky-Merritt will eat into that workload, but he gets at least 60% of backfield, and he's worthy of that. I think he gets a starting gig.
I think you're looking at Ken Walker's replacement here in Seattle. I think he is a better version of Zach Charbonnet. Like they want a guy that can go in there and beat the line up like Charbonnet does. That's why they kept giving Charbonnet carries, and they weren't going anywhere, but he was scoring touchdowns. And again, that's what Tyler Algier did this year. He's a really good goal line back. He's a good power back. His rookie season with Atlanta, he had 1,000 yards. Like, I think he can go out there and be another starting running back, kind of like Rico. Like, I think he's going to be a starter next season.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Do you have anyone else written down that you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good.
Before we jump into our conference championship predictions, let's shout out our affiliates over at W Energy and Finley Hats. W Energy, it's good, clean energy, no artificial dyes, no sweeteners, none of that nonsense. It's jitterless energy. You're not going to get a crash like you would from a typical energy drink that you buy it from Big Energy. Nah, not with W. It's good, clean energy. Got a ton of flavors. They do collabs with other creators, anime stuff. So check them out over at w.gg or download the app in your app store. Just search W, D-U-B-B-Y. Be better. Eat that dub with W Energy. And then Finley Hats. Their hats are built for good times and long times. If your hat is damaged or destroyed, they'll replace it or repair it completely free of charge. They got free shipping across the U.S. They do weekly drops every Friday night. You can interchange your laces, change your pins. They got the pockets. Cool designs all over. They got beanies, dad hats, snapbacks, all sort of stuff. So check them out. Click the link in the description. You'll get a cool 15% off your first purchase. Oh, yeah, W. Drafted up's the code. 10% off anytime. So support our friends over at W Energy and Finley Hats. All right, here we go. The New England Patriots travel to Denver to take on the Denver Broncos. The 1 seed versus the 2 seed. Patriots, 5.5 point. Road favorites over under set at 42.5. Obviously, the point favorite towards New England is because Bo Nix not going to be out there, and it is Jared Stidham. I think if Bo Nix is out there, Denver is probably like a 1.5 point favorite.
I would agree to that for sure.
Yeah.
1.5, 2.5 at most.
Yeah, so it is going to come down to like Sean Payton and how he schemes this offense for Jared Stidham. He's not mobile, so you're going to lose that mobility Bo Nix gives you. But I think Jared Stidham is a fine enough passer that the offense is still functionable.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this game is going to be closer, which we briefly touched based on. I think Denver's defense is really going to keep them in the game and make this a problem for New England and Drake May, like we saw what the Texans defense did to Drake May for a while there. But I just think that edge in quarterback, like Drake May to Jared Stidham, that gap is what's going to push New England here to the top as, you know, Stephon Diggs is getting heavily involved and Drake May is just spreading the ball to all these weapons that aren't necessarily great, but it is working in his favor because he's that good. So I do think just the gap between Drake May and Jared Stidham is going to end up being eventually too much for Denver to overcome, and the Patriots do win this game.
Dude, Booty had one of the best catches I've seen in a long ass time. That catch
Booty
was
is going to be an
insane,
interesting name for next year because
I agree.
When he's out there, that is Drake May's guy.
He's produced a lot this season, dude. And like, I get Diggs hasn't been healthy most of the season. He's coming off an injury, but I think I'm gonna have those guys a lot closer than people really expect in for fantasy rankings come next season. Because with Drake May, I think they're both viable options. Like Drake May is so good. He can spread the ball around to anyone, and I agree that the difference between him and Stiddy is insane, and I don't think the difference between any of these defenses is that far apart. I get Denver has the best defense in football. I think New England's got a top 5 unit out there, so it's not that big of a gap. To where Drake May is a borderline elite quarterback at this point, Stidham's about to play his 5th start in the NFL. That's a night and day difference, dude.
The least amount of starts a quarterback has had going into a conference championship game.
Yeah.
And if Denver wins, it is truly on the back of Sean Payton's coaching and scheme.
That and their defense. Their defense is it's going to carry them. Like, if Denver has any type of chance of winning this game, the over-under is 42. It's got to be under that. This game needs to be like 14-17, and that they cannot push an offensive battle. They cannot risk that happening.
Yeah, I agree. Because like, if you look at it, like, New England offensively, they have the edge at quarterback. They have the edge at running back with Ramondre and Travion Henderson. They're an upgrade over RJ Harvey. Denver does have Cortland Sutton, so they do the upgrade at the number 1 receiver. But I think but
I think I would take New England's unit.
As a unit, New England is more consistent with Diggs, Booty, Kyle
Matt
Williams
Collins
has been out there, Hunter Henry, Matt Collins, Austin Hooper. Like there's more of an abundance and consistency from the group as a whole than there is.
But I also think that falls back onto Drake Mays that's that good. Like he's making all of these guys look good. I think if you would give Drake May Denver's unit, I still think we would see very similar stuff out of like Troy
Mm-hmm.
Franklin, Pat Bryant, Cortland Sutton, obviously. I think Evan Ingram had a little bit better year, to be honest. But
Mm-hmm.
I would take New England's unit, pretty much all around offensively.
Yeah. Denver probably has the offensive line advantage.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think just Drake May is good enough that he can overcome the little, differences between the two units. So I think
where Denver has
here.
New England beat, it's not like a landslide beat. Like Denver doesn't like pace them by a bunch at all. If anything, they're better by like a couple of spots if you wanted to rank them out 1 through 32. But like we said, the gap between Drake May being 5th, 6th best quarterback in football and Jarrett Stidham, you can't even rank him because he's not even Denver's starter. So he's outside of the top 32. Exactly. It's so hard to overcome that, dude. Like the best defense of all time would struggle tremendously to keep up with that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
I do think New England ends up covering that line, but I think going into like the late 3rd, early 4th, this game's going to be close. And I think then the steam wears off for Denver and New England kind of just takes away with it.
I think they will cover, but I think at most it's going to be like a touchdown difference. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a 14-point spread or anything like that. I think it's going to be a close 7-point win for you.
I think at most it'll be 10 points.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the big game. The more competitive, exciting game from the NFC. The LA Rams take on division rival, the Seattle Seahawks. We got the 1 seed versus the 5 seed. The 2 best teams record-wise in football, though. Seattle, 2.5-point home favorites. The over-under set at 47.5. The Seahawks, they've played 1 playoff game, and it was just a complete slaughtering of San Francisco. The Rams, back-to-back tough games. Last-second win near the end against Carolina, overtime win against the Bears. They're just playing hard-nosed football, and I expect that to be the same here. I don't think Seattle is going to walk all over LA. LA's too good of a team, but this game is going to be incredible. I think it's going to be similar from an excitement level to that Thursday game, but I don't think there's going to be a point where one of these teams is up by a ton like the Rams were up by a bunch on Seattle early, and Seattle had that miraculous comeback. Losing Charbonnet does hurt, but I trust Ken Walker enough to man the load and be the bell cow guy there. I trust Sam Darnold. It really comes down from Darnold. Obviously, the Rams have the edge at quarterback. Matt Stafford's playing at an MVP level, and he's Sam Darnold's not Matt Stafford. Number 1 receivers, you could kind of do a toss up: Puka versus JSN. Puka might have a little bit of an edge. He's been a little bit more consistent in putting up these bigger plays. And then, Devontae Adams is obviously an upgrade over Rashid Shaheed and Cooper Kupp. And defensively, the edge goes to Seattle, but the Rams defense is an incredible unit as well. They're a top 10 unit. So it's really trying to find those difference makers. And you brought up Rashid Shaheed, and I think that should be the game plan here for Seattle, is to just get the ball in his hand with manufactured touches. And he didn't need to get all these manufactured stuff against the Niners because they were just obliterating him. But the reason they beat the Rams last time was a big factor of Rashid Shaheed. And I expect that to be the game plan here, is Rashid Shaheed being heavily involved in the offense. And I think at the end of the day, I just think Seattle is the better team, and I do think they win.
I think on paper, the teams are pretty similar. I'm leaning towards the Ram. I think their defensive line is going to do what San Fran's couldn't, and they're going to get to Sam Darnold. And we've seen it multiple times throughout, like last season with Minnesota, especially in the playoffs. If you get to Sam Darnold, if
you could push the interior,
and he just turns into a completely different quarterback, and it's night and day. And I just think that's what's going to be the ultimate outcome in this game. It's going to be close. This game is going to be no different. It's 2 points, 3-point spread. I think that's a very good line. I think that's about where it's going to be. I just think the Rams' defensive line is going to end up getting the job done. Obviously, Seattle's defense is going to go out there and produce. I just think the Rams' defensive line is going to get to Darnold more than the Seahawks are going to get to Stafford. because you can get to Stafford, and at the end of the day, he's going to forget exactly what happened on that last play because the next play is a new play. He's never in his head. I've never seen Matt Stafford like panic or
Rattle.
not look. Yeah, I've never seen that. He's always poised and ready for the next play.
Mhm.
I've seen Sam Darnold chasing headlights, bro. Like
Yeah, me too.
he gets rocked, dude, and he just looks like he looks like the Jets Sam Darnold, and I just think the Rams get the job done. I just got to stick to it. I got to stick that the Rams have been better than Seattle. I've said it all season. No reason for me to switch it out here. So I do think Seattle's going to hang. I'm definitely giving them their flowers. They're better than I've ever expected them to be, but I think the Rams end up getting the job done.
Yeah. And from a marketing standpoint, a Matt Stafford versus Drake May Super Bowl, the two MVP frontrunners, that would be exciting. And even Drake May versus the Seattle defense, and Seattle, the redemption game for the Malcolm Butler, like there's storylines there.
Mm-hmm.
Like New England versus either of these teams is the exciting matchup and the matchup that I'm hoping for. And that's not a knock on Denver. It's just Jared Stidham. Like if Bo Nix was there, I'd be fine if Denver made the Super Bowl. Bo Nix and the Denver team against Seattle, there's the redemption there where Seattle whooped up on Denver in the Super Bowl, and then Bo Nix versus Matt Stafford and Sean Payton versus Sean McVay, just offensive gurus, like those were there. But without Bo Nix, Denver kind of loses that luster a little bit. But I kind of figured we were going to be split on Seattle and LA as we have been all year.
For sure. I figured we were going to be, but at the end of the day, I think they're the two best teams in football. I think one of those teams is winning the Super Bowl.
I agree.
The Super Bowl winner is coming from the NFC. Obviously, we're jumping the gun there, but I think at the end of the day, the Rams and the Seahawks are the two best teams left standing in the playoffs, and it's probably the best two teams of football. So I think the NFC's got it this year.
Yeah. All right. There you have it. Anything else? Indiana beat Miami, college championship. Incredible game. Hey. Miami had no. Like you could make the case that Miami had no business even being there, and they made this incredible playoff run. And I told you when we went out to dinner for my birthday that Indiana was clearing away the best team in college football. I didn't think anybody was going to stop them. And it came down to the last drive for Miami, and how fitting for Carson Beck to throw an interception on his final pass, and then he didn't shake Mendoza's hand. Like he's so frustrating at times. Carson Beck.
Carson Beck
as like a human being. As a player, he has the moments where you're like, man, this dude's a first round pick, and then he has moments like, I wouldn't draft that guy at all.
Yeah, 100%. He's not consistent enough. It's night and day difference in what that guy does on the field, but he'll be a good backup in the NFL at the end of the day. The Miami defense made Mendoza look like a completely different quarterback than he's looked all playoffs. He came in with fewer incompletions or more touchdowns and incompletions throughout the playoffs. He had a ton of incompletions. He had no passing touchdowns. He had that amazing rushing touchdown.
Pass rush for Miami got to him.
It's insane.
Ruben Bain and Mesidor, they both. Bain should be a top 10 pick. I don't care what the measurements say.
I agree.
The tape says otherwise. And Mesidor, I know he's older. I still take a flyer on him at the end of the first round. I think he's that good as well.
I agree. He should not fall past the second. I think both those guys are going to be really good pass rushers at the next level, and they both showed it on the college national stage. Like Mendoza's an NFL quarterback. He's probably going one, and both of these guys were making him look completely different. So. Shout out to Miami's defense.
It was good to see Mendoza kind of step back over all this hype. Like Mendoza's good. He's a good prospect.
Yeah.
But
his post game interview was kind of wild. The way he worded some stuff out of pocket. He doesn't know how to form a sentence, bro. Think about the shit you're saying, dog.
That's because I honestly believe, and this isn't a knock on him. I honestly believe he has this stuff rehearsed of what he's gonna say.
Well, he has to.
And then
This is the most important 3-month stretch of his life. Nothing will be more important than what has happened the last 3 weeks and then what is going to happen in the next 2 months. This dude, it's a difference of hundreds of millions of dollars that this guy has to make sure he's saying the right thing over and over and over and over again. So, hey, man, I'm very pro NFL players getting that money. If you got to go out there and rehearse what you're saying, more power to you, dude. Do not fuck up. That just shows that he doesn't want to fuck it up. That he is dedicated to making the right decisions, and that's what you want out of your NFL quarterback.
Like, sure, he comes off as this corny, hokey, cheese ball guy, but
for sure,
when you look at it, all 50 plus players on that team go to bat for this dude. Like
100%. He's a leader.
It's not a situation where they're just like, that guy's kind of, they shy away from him. They embrace Fernando Mendoza. I think that's going to go a long way for an NFL locker room. And the Raiders,
look what he does.
Probably where he's going.
He's willing to put his body on the line for any moment. And you've seen it on that rushing touchdown. He got rocked. He got rocked versus Ohio State in the first play. He got hurt. The Ohio State game first play came back instantly. Like, he gets rocked, and he just shows that, hey, I'm your quarterback. I'm going to be out there regardless of what's going on, and you will be able to follow me. So he's definitely got the traits that you want out of a quarterback. Yeah. I just don't know if he's going to be an elite quarterback to the next level. That's my one real knock on him. I think he's a really good prospect at the end of the day. I don't think he's an elite prospect.
Yeah, can't knock his toughness. The tape you can knock. Like, there's moments where just like, I don't trust his reads at times. Like, I think he only reads half the field at times. It kind of does that. Like, I don't think he's a better prospect. Yeah, I don't think he's a better prospect than Cam Ward.
He's not.
Yeah, I know that's the hot debate. A lot of people, but we'll get more into that as it is draft season. So we'll be doing stuff there. But for Nick, I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up Podcast. We'll see you guys next week to talk about the Super Bowl.
The big game. Can't say that. Bleep it out.
The Super Duper.
The Super Duper Bowl.
Adios.
Bye.